Hello students, this is a time class with the Millennium Teacher, the class that teaches the lessons of life based on facts to transform, inspire, motivate and educate you about life. You're welcome to class. In our previous class, we talked about the origin of makeup and we are made to understand that God is the inventor of makeup. In today's class, we're going to talk about the evidence of God's makeup from my book titled Life is a Movie, a Call to Action. By the way, if you're a newcomer in this class, please enroll by following us on our social media handles. On TikTok at The Private Class, on Instagram at The Millennium Teacher, on Facebook and YouTube at GMBC Vlog. And don't forget to comment on the lessons and share it with others so they too can learn as well. Now back to our lesson for today, the evidence of God's makeup. Bearing in mind that life is a movie, we should not lose insight of the fact that it is not as real as it appears. God made it up to look this real. Yes, like I told us in the previous class, God wanted to tell a compelling story. So he made up life to look real, even though it is not real. Now stay with me as I explain how God made life out of nothing into what it is today. Evidence of God's makeup. Number 1. In the beginning, that is, behind the scene of life or before life started, there was an open space full of water, dark and out of order. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. Number 2. In that open area, God first created light and separated it from the darkness. The light he called day and the darkness he called night. Genesis chapter 1 2-5. Number 3. God created a firmament to separate the waters from the waters. As we are told that the whole area was full of water, so he needed to separate the waters. So he created the firmament. And that firmament he called heaven. Genesis 1 6-8. So that firmament or the sky represents the curtains on the stages where movies are acted. Number 4. Now as God was preparing to set the stage, he gathered all the waters that were beneath the firmament into one place so that there would be a dry land. The gathering of the waters he called seas, and the dry land, which is actually the stage, he called earth. Genesis 1 9-10. Number 5. Now God used a variety of beautiful plants and vegetables and all sorts of things to make up the stage. Yes, these plants he used to decorate or make up the stage. Genesis 1 11-12. The stage, like I said, must match with the story told in every movie. So the movie makers always make up the stage to match up with the story they are telling in the movie. It was the same thing that God did. In telling the story about life, God beautified the stage. He made up the art to look exactly the way he wanted it. Number 6. Now God needed stage lights to differentiate day and night and to determine the times and seasons in the movie. So he created 2 great lights. The greater light he called the sun to rule the day, and the lesser light he called moon or stars to rule the night. Genesis 1 14-18. Now you need to understand here that in the movie industry, lighting is very important. Yes, in the making of movies, there are lights they refer to as source light, which they use purposely for the subjects in the movie. And there are other lights they use for lighting up the backgrounds and other stuffs. And so, it is the same thing that God did in the beginning. So he created the sun, which is the source light. And he created the moon and other stars, which are the lesser lights, responsible for lighting up the background and other stuffs. Life is a movie. Number 7. Now after creating the stage, God began to make up or create the various creatures or characters who are going to appear in the movie. All sort of animals and insects that move across the air, the land and in the sea. God made them all up. Remember, In the beginning, they were not there before. But just because God wanted them to be a part of the movie, so he made them up and brought them on the stage. Just like when you watch movies, most of these animate and inanimate stuff you see in movies are not real. The movie makers make them up. Mystical beings like dragons are not real. We are made to understand. But we see them in movies because the movie makers make them up. Vampires and other stuffs we see in movies, in real life we haven't seen them yet. But we see them in movies because that is what the movie makers want to show us. So God himself, being the maker of the movie called life, made up various creatures. Various creatures, both frightening ones and beautiful ones. He made them all up to appear in the movie called life. In Genesis 1, 20-25, we are told about that. How God made all kinds of animals for them to appear on the stage. They all have various roles to play in the movie called life. Yes. Number 8. Now, after God has created the stage and made up all sorts of animals who are going to play various roles in the movie, he then decided to make up the main characters who were supposed to act the movie. How did he do that? He took dust from the ground and made it up into something, and he breathed into it the breath of life, and that dust became a living soul, which is yourself and myself. Yes, that we can find in Genesis 1, 26-27 and Genesis 2, verse 7. God made us up, we are told, in his image and after his likeness. This which you see, you call it flesh. No matter what you see it to be, it's not as real as it appears. It is dust originally. God made it up to look this real, to look this beautiful, to look this handsome. Whatever way you look, God made you up to look that way. You were not like that before. You're just an empty dust. Dust of the ground. God formed you into what you are today. Because life is a movie. Yes, it must be made up to appear real. Every character in the movies that we watch, these characters are not as real as they appear. The movie makers make them up, like I've told us already. So even in the movie called life, what we see is not as real as it appears. Even you and I, we are not as real as we appear. We have been made up to look this real in order to tell a compelling story, the movie called life. Yes, this takes us to the end of the class for today. And I believe you have learned a lot. In our next class, we are going to look at the facts about God's makeup. A huge one that is coming. I believe it will amaze you to know about the facts of God's makeup. So be in class next week. Till we meet again, I have been your teacher, Solomon Joseph Kekora. Class dismissed.